Starting out our meeting here. Thanks for everyone for coming out and joining us. We're going to get the recording started right now. And any questions you guys have, you can just stick them in the chat box here and we'll all be able to see. But first, we're going to welcome our guest here, who's been kind enough to come out today and help us out with learning about some ISA stuff and things like that. So just missing one piece. Give me 1 second. All right, so folks, we've got a good meeting here for you this morning. We've got about 25 people in, and we're going to talk about ISA stuff. We got Randy Keberlin here, who's a monster. He's been doing real estate longer than some of us have been alive, which is really cool. And he's got a lot of experience in a lot of different angles. But right now we're going to talk about basically working with some digital lead coordination and how to get extra couple of percentages out of your Zillow conversions. He's converting about 9% right now, which is truly phenomenal. The average is about 2 to 3%. Good folks are getting 5% excited about it. This guy's pulling in 9%. That's a real nice return on some ROI. So Randy, I'm going to hand it over to you for a second. Just give us a little bit about yourself, let the folks know who you are and what you're up to these days.
Okay, well, you said I've been in real estate for a real long time, I've been in the real estate industry. I've spent a lot of my time in the mortgage business, about 25 years. And when the meltdown hit, I decided I'd had enough. And I made the leap into real estate. So I had my license for about 10 years. But when I first got into real estate, I was horribly unsuccessful, and I went back into mortgage for a few years, and then I came back, and I'm working with the guy I'm working with right now, the broker, who's in Wisconsin, and he has a team of about 10 to 12 agents. About this time last year, I decided to move to South Carolina, and they're in Wisconsin, so that made it a little bit of a challenge. But I kept my team of 2 people back there, and about 5 months ago, Ralph approached me about taking over his Zillow because they weren't having very good success with it. So he asked me if I would handle it, and I thought, you know what, I loved the Zillow leads when I was working them when I was there, so I told him I'd be happy to. And that was on March 25th. And just before that, I don't know, about 2 or 3 weeks before that, I got introduced to ShoutBoss. And was using it to a certain degree, but I thought this would be a great way to introduce ShoutBoss into the helping me out with Zillow, and I got involved with that at that point.
So you were using Zillow in the mortgage industry as well. You were pretty familiar with the product. It was something that
I was familiar with the product, but I kind of thought, like a lot of agents did, that they were internet leads and they were garbage when I was in the mortgage business. But when I got in the real estate business and I was chasing them down myself, I was doing double digits in conversion when I was working Ralph's leads on my own. So I knew that they were good.
So you've seen the industry from 2 sides. You've been on the lender side and the agent side. So you've got a kind of a unique perspective where a lot of us are either running businesses, kind of team owners, agents ourselves. We rarely get to see the lenders unless we're at the closing or yelling about a pre-approval or some kind of conditions in a letter. So that's great. You have a unique perspective there. So
I don't complain about the lenders that much.
Yeah, no, probably not.
I live that life.
So based on that, so you got this unique perspective on 2 angles, and you've seen how agents work and how lenders work. What are you seeing as some of the biggest mistakes right now that agents are making?
That's a really broad topic, but I'd love to narrow it down to like Zillow, the Zillow leads, because that's kind of that's been my world here for the last 5 months.
Yeah.
And I think the number 1 problem is the attitude towards the Zillow leads. A lot of people think that they're people just kicking tires and just out shopping around, and they're not very serious. I think that when you couple that with that, they just aren't putting in the work. They don't pick up the phone. They don't follow up. I'm sure everybody's seen the statistics on how many times real estate agents follow up, and I think it's 100% true. I follow up until they just tell me to go away. And that's really the strategy. And the proof is Zillow. I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but Zillow last week, they changed how they're delivering the leads to the real estate agent because
we heard a little bit about that. We heard a little bit about that, and I think it's been a little bit of confusion for some folks. Can you shed a little light on that?
Yeah, well, evidently the Zillow's clients were not being served to their satisfaction. So they changed from, it used to be a jump ball, basically, that I would get a text message that said, you got a Zillow lead. And this is where ShoutBoss came in conjunction with Conversion was awesome because by the time I got the lead, ShoutBoss and Conversion were already trying to contact them via ShoutBoss leaving a voicemail, and Conversion tries to connect as well as Zillow. So if other agents are trying to get a hold of these people, and I got 2 phone calls going in already, plus the phone call I'm making, I got a 3-to-1 chance of getting in front of them. And if not, their phone's probably tied up so that they're not getting through to them anyway. So I would do that, and then I'd have another ShoutBoss voicemail that would go out a couple hours after that, saying, "Hey, I hope you know, I'm still trying to get a hold of you, and I got some information on the house that you want." And that is a lot of times where I got pretty good response. It's not the first salvo, but the one about 2 hours later.
So what you're saying here basically is
direct connect. I know that I would get them. I had a real good chance of them responding in some fashion to ShoutBoss.
Awesome. So
you guys could look at my screen. I'm getting 72% of the people respond in some fashion on ShoutBoss, which I think is amazing.
That's great conversion.
Who to concentrate on, not.
Hey, Randy, what I heard a lot this week was from some agents is that they're a little nervous or afraid or cautious of reaching out to the lead too much or too often. What's your thoughts on that?
I'm happy about that because that means that they're going to give up and I'm going to get it. You know, I read a book on prospecting, and one of the lines that sticks out to me is you have to interrupt the people if you want to get their attention. And a lot of people are afraid of interrupting their day or being too much, giving them too much follow-up. But I would much rather have someone say, "Listen, you're calling me too much, stop," rather than get a hold of them and say, "Hey, we just decided to go with somebody else." I can live with that. With them telling me you're calling me too much, and it's hard for me to actually take the "you just missed because you didn't follow up enough." I would rather err on the side of being aggressive.
That's great. That's good. So it looks like what you're kind of coming across here is that no one piece of technology is going to do it all for you. But if you put the work in and you have some pieces combined, you have a good CRM, you have Zillow bringing in leads, and you have ShoutBoss working it, and then you as a person is also putting in some time, you're going to have much higher conversion than if you let everything do it yourself, like some of the newer agents are thinking.
People kind of make the mistake of using technology as a crutch, and their expectation is that I'm spending X amount of money per month for ShoutBoss or conversion or for Zillow leads, and I want these people to walk into my office, sit down, and write an offer. And the lead is just the opportunity, and what you do with it after you get the opportunity is what it's getting.
Awesome, that's great. So, you know, we got a few questions here that we kind of worked out earlier, just kind of some stuff that people in our group have been asking some questions. So, you know, a lot of guys, not everyone's a monster agent like you guys out there. So, you know, if you're working with some newer agents, suggesting someone who's just starting out or an agent that's kind of fresh in the business, what kind of suggestions do you have for them to help them kind of get interested in the conversion that you're getting and get them interested into sort of the move of going towards working these leads and not being nervous? What kind of things would you talk with new agents about?
Well, I mean, if you're nervous, get over that quick because that's going to prevent you from getting anywhere. I think the first thing that I would do if I was brand new in the business is find a successful agent and pick their brain, model their behavior, do what they're doing. I would also, I think Gary Keller says that the number one thing you need to do is you need to have a CRM or a database, and you need to live in that database, and you need to rely on your database if you're going to stay in this business. Get everyone you know into that database and systematically let them know what you do for a living and ask them for your help.
Yeah, the tried and true.
The biggest thing is stay away from the negative people in the business, because you're going to end up as they are if you hang around with the people that think it can't be done.
Right, the old bitter cronies we used to kind of talk about in the industry back in the day.
Yeah, and I think the younger agents kind of get the technology piece of it. Maybe they should kind of partner with someone who's been in the business and know the ways of doing real estate the old-fashioned way, so they can marry the best of two worlds.
Sure, combine the technology to some door knocking and some good old-fashioned winning successful agent there.
I'm no millennial. I've been around for a while, and I've been pretty much an early adopter on technology. So, I think if you're not at this point, you're going to go away. So you better embrace the technology, but don't use it as a crutch. You still got to put in the work, and you still got to make the calls. I call it chopping wood. You got to go and you got to chop the wood. You got to grind it out and get the work done.
Nice. Hey, Randy, can you share some metrics? I mean, how many leads you're getting? How are you converting? What does it mean in real life? How many homes you're selling? How much money you guys are making?
Well, I tallied it up over the last, I started the date. I don't know why I got it etched in my mind, but it was March 25th is when I started. And since then, we're about 298 leads or 299 leads. Not all of them go into ShoutBoss, because what I figured out after a while is if they've visited you before on Zillow, they just go right to the agent that it was assigned to originally. So it's not like it enters as a new lead at that point. But I got 299-ish, and we closed 28 transactions over that period of time. We average about 180,000, so we're a little shy of 5 million over that period of time.
So you're pulling about 55 leads a month, maybe.
75-ish, 75-ish, I think. Close to 75, just under.
And when do you feel it's time to pass the lead off to an agent? Like, what's the process with that?
Well, my process is I try to grab them and get a hold of them and set an appointment to see the house. And if I can get an appointment for them to see the house, then I shop for an agent. One of the agents on my team, and I get them out there to meet the people. My whole goal is to get people face to face, because that's where we're going to win the relationship, and we're going to be able to eventually end up in a transaction. So that's the goal. And if I get them on the phone, typically it's really strange, because if you get a Zillow lead and you get them on the phone, all you really have to do is say, hey, would you like to go see the house you just called in on? And it's 8 out of 10 times they say yes.
Right, it's like a sign call.
It's really not even hard. It's just pick up the phone and do the work. But after that, if you don't get them, and then ShoutBoss doesn't get them, that's when I think where you get incremental increase in your conversion rate is by focusing on and finding those people, because they still come back, and they still want to buy a house eventually. I just had an email from a lady who she came back, and she came in right at the end of March, early April, and she texted me or emailed me and said that she's not going to be, she just signed a 1-year lease, but she really wants me to keep the alerts on and sending her houses, but she's going to a different area now, and she's going to buy in a year. And I believe that she will, because it happens all the time. I mean, I've been using conversion since January 2016, and we had one that closed that was in there for 400 and some odd days. So
Fantastic.
It's just, you just got to do your calls and stay in touch with people. And,
hey, Randy, I've made a lot of these calls, and converting 9% or even 5% is just an enormous number. I mean, walk me through your day. I mean, how are you doing this? Because this is different. I'm not sure everyone here really understands this, but this is.
You messaged me before when you said, "Did you do that much business?" And my quick reaction was, "Did I? Were my numbers wrong?" And, so I went back and checked, but and I think I sent to you is it's not me. I'm just I'm the person that's not generating the leads, but following up on them and answering the phone. And then I have a team of, well, there's 10 of them, but really I rely on about five or six. It's the people that are really in it. There's some other people who are part-time and they do help occasionally.
Those are agents you're
Two of the
talking about.
brokers who I don't really, they don't get a lot of the business, but the realtors do. But my day starts, I get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I typically try to put together an email for the group of realtors, and also other agents that I'm trying to attract. And it's typically, I try to make them mix it up a little bit, make one of them kind of funny. One of them, sometimes it's about, something industry related that can help their career, educational. At least one time a week, I try to make something that says, "Hey, this is how great we're doing." We had, like yesterday, I had one agent call me up, said he wrote 2 offers. One called me up, said that they had accepted offer. Another one wrote an offer, and another one closed the deal. So I'll put that kind of thing in there. Congratulations, this is how great you guys are doing, and I really appreciate it. That type of thing. Try to keep them engaged and try to get some, try to develop a little bit of community. And I played sports my whole life, and I always ended up being the captain of the team because I always tried to get, a certain feeling going, or try to get the community built within the team. So that's kind of the purpose of that. So I get through that, then I'll go through and I'll check the activity screen and conversion, which will tell me which leads have been active recently, and who's up there looking, who saved the house, who did that. And so I'll queue up the calls for me and my agents. Typically, then I'll go work out, come back at 8:30 Central Time. I get on the phone and I do alerts with the calls.
Besides licensed agents, what other kind of people are on your team?
I couldn't hear you. Say it again.
Besides licensed agents, what other kind of people are on your team?
Just the agents.
Just agents and yourself. You don't have a lot of admin or a whole lot of phone callers, or it's just all agents and kind of you working the leads.
Yeah, I mean, no. That my goal is to keep them out in the field selling homes to make me money. That's the priority. They do make some calls.
Sorry, Randy, do you guys get leads other than Zillow? Do you get some pay-per-click leads or Facebook leads?
The only other leads we're getting right now really is some sign calls. That checked, we really haven't done a whole lot generating other leads lately, other than, I mean, we've gotten off these Zillow leads. These people sell houses too. We had 3 listing appointments last week off of Zillow.
But you just got really quiet for a second. I don't know if everybody else is hearing that.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. Crystal clear.
Is that better? All right.
Yeah.
Cool. I was having trouble hearing, so I plugged in my headphones. But we get we get ancillary business out of it too, because some of these people are going to sell houses. We had 3 listing appointments and got 1 listing out of it last week too. By asking the question. So no, the answer to your question directly, we're not doing a ton other than that. We're kind of in the transition, right? At transition phase. They're moving our team to a different agency. So that's kind of taken up a little bit of our time over the last 30, 60 days. So haven't spent a lot of time doing other type of lead generation.
You got really quiet.
Yeah, you got
Randy.
About a minute ago.
I'm gonna take that out. So
there we go. Yeah.
I guess to answer the question is we're not doing any other than sphere of influence. People talking to their sphere and getting business that way also. But Zillow has been a good portion of the business for us lately.
So Randy, what would be more important if I was a fly in the wall, for like a week? Would it be the activity of reaching the lead, or what you say on the phone? What is more important to your success, you think?
The most important thing is answering the phone and talking to them. I don't think I have any true gift of gab, or I've been in the business a long time, so I know the questions to ask, and I know what the goal is. So you ask the questions to get to your goal, but the biggest thing is anybody can do it. You just need to pick up the phone, make the call, or answer the call. Like it goes back to the first thing you said. It's people do not take the lead serious enough. I really truly believe that's it. If you don't take it serious and you don't feel it's worth it, you don't put the effort into it.
Something I noticed, we were messaging back and forth with some of your questions. It looks like you guys have a pretty robust strategy of contacting people through social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Can you just touch on that a little bit? Because I know folks are kind of trying to find different ways to follow up if you can't get in touch with somebody. What are you guys doing there different?
I was a little hesitant to bring that up because it's a kind of strikes you as stalking almost. But if I can't get a hold of them, I'll go on Facebook and look for them. Try to instant message them, or Instagram, LinkedIn.
Just go reach right out. Kind of. What would you say to someone like that? If you're on like an Instagram, say you couldn't get a hold of a lead, and you got an Instagram or Twitter account. What kind of message would you put into them?
It's just I would say something to the effect that having trouble getting a hold of you on the phone. This is Randy. Are you still interested in looking at the house that you were on Zillow looking for?
Awesome. That's
so I actually I usually have a list of text messages or things that I want to say, so that if you do find them, it's just copy and paste, and I put it in there and hit send.
Bingo.
So I don't have to sit and think about what I'm going to do. I just you find them, you send it out, and you go. You try to make as much contact as possible.
That's awesome. That's great.
Get them to come back.
That's great. So you're basically just saying, it doesn't matter what you're saying, as long as you get them on the phone and start saying.
You're still looking for a home. I got your information through Zillow. Are you still looking for that home? And I got information on a home that's similar to the one that you looked at on Zillow if you're still interested.
So back to Jim's question, it's that you're saying something. Just connect with them, get them on the phone, talk to them, build a rapport. But you don't follow a huge script. You kind of just being yourself on the phone.
No, I mean, really what I end up doing is when I'm up at 5 a.m. and I'm trying to put those emails, I usually look for what other people are doing that's successful and try to take their the text messages or their emails or their scripts and just try to convert it to me, and I'll try some things. And one thing is as simple as if you put emojis in your text messages, and you end up getting a better response than if you don't.
Hey Randy, what's something a lead would a Zillow lead or any lead would tell you on the phone where you would kind of give up or hang up and not go, not push on that lead?
Leave me alone. If they don't want to hear from you, they tell you. They're not shy about it. They'll say, I'm working with another real estate agent, but if they do that, I'll still put them on the website. And it'll still contact them because I know that other realtors will give up after a certain point. They'll show them X amount of houses, or they'll make X amount of phone calls, and then they'll give up, and they'll come back if the other people don't take care of them. So I think that the only way is if they tell you, stop calling me, that I won't call them because you don't want to make enemies, or if they take themselves out of your drip campaigns, I'll put them in the archive. But other than that, unless they come right out and tell me don't call me anymore, we'll continue to try to get hold of them.
Yeah, Randy, go back to the numbers a little bit because it's just mind-boggling if you really think about it. And I was playing with them. The 28 properties that we sold, are those sold? You actually got a pay, you guys got paid on them, or some of them pending?
No, those are closed.
Okay.
Right now we have 5 more pending.
Yeah, and that's not in that 9% number, by the way.
No, because but it's, and I'm not sure if I'm doing my numbers right or not, because it's a rolling average. There was Zillow leads prior to us closing. I mean, me coming on board, and there's, the Zillow leads that we just got today, obviously we can't close. So it's kind of like a rolling average. I just take the Zillow leads and divide it by the number of leads over that time to come up with.
And that's what I was just going to mention, because it is a roll, and because you have some leads right now that I'm sure are in the pipeline, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, my agent said he wrote 2 last night. One got an accepted offer yesterday, and I know there's another offer outstanding from the other Wednesday. So
Nice.
those aren't, and we have right now for August, I think we only have 5 scheduled to close in August.
Cool.
So it's a little bit of a slow month. Around July 4th, it was a hard time to get an agent to go out and see it. Everybody's on vacation. So we had a little bit of a lull, and there wasn't that many leads at that point either. And right now we're experiencing a little bit of a drop off because of the way Zillow is delivering the leads also. But I think that's going to change because I don't see the other agents answering the phone as consistently as we do. If they didn't make the phone calls before, I can't see why they're going to just answer the phone on it.
And another thing is, what is your market like? Like, what's the absorption rate? How many months of supply of homes do you guys have?
I'd have to go check that again, but I know right now we're having one of our biggest challenges is having the house being available to show the person that wants to see it.
Sure.
If it's a nice home, like I have a listing that's going to go on Sunday, it'll be sold within 4 or 5 days.
So if the market softens up a little bit, it'd be to your benefit at this point.
Well, I think so. I mean, I think that anything that challenges the agents will benefit us because we are systematically working at it. And I think that that's a huge drawback for most agents is there's not a systematic plan in place to work. The leads or whatever your plan is, you have to have a plan and you have to work your plan.
So, touching on that a little bit, what kind of training are you doing with your agents? Anything particular or different that you're doing to get your agents kind of, a little step ahead of everybody else?
Well, I'm 1,000 miles away, so it's a little bit limited to what I can do. I try to give them something 2 or 3 times a week to kind of read or Tom Ferry videos or whatever I can find that I think is pertinent to the moment that we're in and for them to do. I also have a couple agents that I'm actually kind of coaching on a weekly basis and spending a little bit more time on them. And with them, it's more trying to just get them to change, add a few rituals or things that they do every day that's going to change their behaviors a little bit and get them to do the behaviors that are going to lead to more close transactions. Like basically, get up a little bit earlier, do a little more, do some exercise before you get yourself in the right frame of mind. Do your calls as scheduled every day, not only when you can. Schedule it in and get it done. You have to kind of take and add some things to your routine so that you're going to get some different results. If they wake up and they do the same thing every day, they're going to get the same results that they've always had. So I'm trying to get them to increase their activities in 2 or 3 little small steps each week. That's going to lead to something a little bit more for them down the road.
Awesome. We're going to go on to some. We're going to ask a few questions. We got a few questions coming in from folks. Just while we're waiting, if anybody has any questions, please put them in the chat. Just type in the chat box a couple questions, and we'll get Randy to answer those for you. One of the things what I'm getting from this, one of the really cool things here is, I mean, you've been basically a realtor less than a year, an agent. You got your Apple iPhone headset. You don't have any special scripts. You're working one single CRM, and you're converting more than most people. I think a lot of agents get in here and think there's just so much they have to do and so much they've got to get in place and so many things they need to get going before they can even sell a house. You just kind of rolled in with iPod earbuds and Zillow and a conversion. You're like, we're closing 28 deals in 6 months. That's really cool.
And he's 1,000 miles away.
He's 1,000 miles away. That is,
people can overthink it. You can overthink it, but it's right from the beginning. You got to put the work in. It's not. It isn't really work. I'm sitting at my dining room table. I do my work from the pool half the time. I go down by the pool and plug into the Wi-Fi there and hang out and make my phone calls.
I love it. It's awesome. It's just so basic and old school and just saying like, here's a couple pieces, some leads, and go close deals. It's really awesome. I love it a lot. So we got a couple of questions coming in on the chat here. Now, one of them you touched on a little bit already. Are you using any specific scripts? And it kind of looks like no. You're pretty much just getting folks on the phone.
Well,
you've got some things to say.
I do have some. It's not really scripts, but I have a list of text messages, because when I get them on the phone, I kind of know what I want to say to people. And basically, all you're trying to do is find out where they're at in the process, and plug yourself in at that point, and get them what they need to get them to the finish line. So if whoever's listening, if you did one thing, if you have Zillow leads or whatever kind of leads you have, if you just pick up the phone and talk to them, I think you'll see better results. I think that's the number one thing. And then consistently making your phone calls.
That's great. That's awesome. So we got another question here, sort of a round question. Layla is saying that, she obviously loves your conversion, 10 agents and 9%. And if you break the conversion down for a little better understanding, I mean, she's saying her highest conversions around 2% with her commissions Inc. They're putting 14 hours in a day on the phones per agent. What do you think? Do you have some standout agents, or everybody pretty clean?
What kind of leads is she getting?
There must be PPC into sync. So I think I kind of touched on that question a few minutes ago, and I asked you if you were getting leads outside of, but she's getting them from sync, which 2 to 4%, I think, is kind of normal.
No, I mean, and we had some free leads that I'll do free leads just by I haven't done them in 5-6 months, but I used to do by posting in garage sale sites and getting free leads, that people would look at it. But those kind of leads are a little less, they're not as good as a Zillow lead. I think Zillow leads are very, very good leads. If you're doing 2% on pay-per-click, I think that's probably still a little low. But
that's great. Awesome.
Without knowing what she's doing, I couldn't begin to tell her what she's doing wrong.
Cool. Well, here's what we'll do, right? If you info in the chat here, because we might have some referrals from people that want to maybe send some business back and forth your way, and maybe have a few questions later on. But if you wouldn't mind that, just stick your contact info in there in that chat box, and then let some folks that are here today maybe reach out if they have some questions or some referrals. Really is what we want to start sharing around here, and really appreciate your time. I mean, this was
thanks a lot.
Absolutely, I'd be happy to share whatever I have with people.
Appreciate it.
So I'd be happy.
Awesome.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.